N2.36 trillion naira subsidy on electricity for low-income consumers. Does it make sense to you?
Thank you for that question. It doesn't make sense, and I don't think that what the figures they are banding is correct, is right. Because if you go down memory lane, last year, precisely in April, to justify the hike in tariff for Band A customers, they came up with the same story, that about 2.9 trillion was to go for electricity subsidy, and that that is why they picked out 15% of customers and placed them on Band A and increased the tariff by over 300%. That is, they started with 225 naira per kilowatt of electricity. They now brought it down to 205. They later increased it to 209 naira 50 kobo, where we are. So the talk of this story of subsidy to some of us who are industry watchers, I don't believe. I look at it that it is another scam. It's a very big scam in the sector, because you can't be talking of subsidy. Let's go back to 2022 when Zainab Ahmed was Minister of Finance. While making presentation to the National Assembly, she declared to Nigerians that there was no longer subsidy in the power sector, and the 2023 budget had no provisions for subsidy, right? Now come back to 2024 again, April, we were told that about 15% of the customer population, which is at close to 2 million, were placed on Band A, and that by increasing the tariff by over 300%, they were going to bring down the so-called subsidy to a figure below 200 billion in the year 2024. So where are we? Where is the money coming from? Where? How much are the discos collecting? They should publish the figures. People should not just see to pull wool over our face. They should. How much is each disco collecting as revenue? What is the customer strength of each disco? Do we have statistical data on the customer population? What I'm talking of, reliable data on customer population. Do we have? Can we go to the asset base, of the discos to interrogate the asset base of the discos? How much are each discos investing outside the acquisition capital they pay to acquire the power assets? What have they invested in the sector? So all these things they are banding is just to justify the tariff increase. They have been flying the kite. They want to justify it. A subsidy as a scam. A scam. Because they cannot justify it.
Mr. Obonga, do you mean that?
They should bring out the data.
Do you mean that this subsidy is audio money, like it's not coming out from government, or the government is actually providing the money, but it's being diverted?
There is nothing like that, my brother. How much? Look at the budget. Look at the current budget. What is provided for them in the budget for subsidy? When we are talking of subsidy here, they are trying to shield the discos and promote their incompetence or reward incompetence. The discos are unable to meter the customers. A meter is a revenue tool, revenue assurance tool. Meter the customers and see if we are going to be talking of a so-called subsidy.
So
it is a scam, the kind of subsidy to justify the reason for the tariff hike they are planning for this year.
So where is the information coming from when the government said that it incurred about 178? I think NERC said it incurred 178.03 billion naira in January out of the provision for subsidy in the 2024 budget.
If they pay that money, why have they not paid the Gencos? If they say they are paying 178 billion, why have they not paid the Gencos? The Gencos are increasing. My brother, listen, we should stop fooling ourselves in this country. We should stop lying to ourselves in this country. Where? Let the CBN publish payment of subsidy to Nigerians to see. Not somebody in the Ministry of Power there or somewhere to sit down and tell the government is paying it. They should bring evidence of the payment. Let us see. I challenge them to bring evidence of payment of subsidy. Or you sit down and project we are going to spend 2.37 trillion in the year. Bring evidence. Let them provide evidence. Let them provide evidence. Let Adebayo, Minister, Power, who is, and the other lady advising Tinubu, let them provide evidence. They should provide evidence of how much the federal government has put in a subsidy for 2024. Let them provide evidence.
So does this mean that there's not been some sort of rapport, communication between all the stakeholders within the sector? I mean, you represent the Power Consumers Advocates of Nigeria. We have the NRC, we have other regulators, we have the GENCOs, we have the DISCOs. So does that mean that we don't have some sort of communication between all these bodies or associations that actually helps understand that certain amount of money, is being generated or provided for some sort of maybe operations, and everybody's carried along in all this?
In 2023, there was no subsidy in the budget, right? And yet, we were told federal government pay subsidy. In 2023 budget presentation, there was no subsidy, yet there was this claim that subsidy was paid. The former minister under Buhari, Mrs. Zainab Ahmed, declared that there was no subsidy and no provisions was made for the budget that was handed over to Ahmed Tinubu. When the Tinubu administration present a supplementary budget to the National Assembly, and the National Assembly passed that budget and made provisions for subsidy, they should publish that information for Nigerians to see before I can believe that there is subsidy. I came back from Kaduna, where we met with NEC for almost 1 week. So I asked the same question, let them provide the evidence of payment of subsidy for Nigerians to see. If you pay money, pay below 30% of their invoices, and they are crying. And yet we are talking of subsidy. Pay subsidy to who?
So interestingly, Mr. Obonga, well, it's quite interesting that you're saying this, but then it's been revealed that out of a total of 2.37 trillion naira electricity subsidy incurred by the Nigerian government in 2027, only 450 billion naira was actually paid in cash, and 1.92 trillion naira was left unpaid. And now the government is saying that there is no planned funding to cover this year's shortfall. Now, you are equally saying there is no subsidy. Where do we draw the line, and how do we get the truth out?
Okay, hold on. Sorry to interject. Listen to this. We talked of, this is a projected 2.37 or 2.37 trillion. Projected figure. What they are projecting that was going to be the subsidy for 2025. In fact, what they failed to say is that the depreciation of the naira is what is impacting on revenue collections in the power sector. Are you hearing me? But what we are saying is that when there was a federal government intervention in 2018 or 2017, 2018, they made 701 billion naira payment, assurance, guaranteed payment something to the gas suppliers through the market operator or the NBET. That money was there. They should tell us if it is 450 billion. They should show evidence of the payment of that money. Is it CBN who collected the money? Because if you are talking of revenue shortfalls, which the federal government claims is paying, and as we speak, the GENCOs are being owed about 2 trillion, and a kobo has not been paid to them. The monthly settlement of the invoices still stands at below 30%. 30%. So if we are talking of subsidy, they should produce evidence. It's not to go on television or go and put up a statement there, we are paying. They should provide evidence. When the CBN, the federal government, ordered CBN to put out about 100 and 200 and something billion to the discos, money was made available. They should provide, there was evidence. They should provide evidence.
And we know that we know that these funds are what the GENCOs and the DISCOs use in maintaining operation, generating power and distributing the power. So does this mean that this is the basis or the reasons for the epileptic power supply or service and the incessant grid collapse that we've seen in the country for a couple of months now? Yeah,
if we are talking of inefficiency, it's as a result of, they have told you that. We went on inspection of power installations, TCN installations in Kaduna. What are the reasons? Number one, the dilapidated infrastructure, transmission infrastructure that has been there over the years. Meanwhile, billions of dollars or naira have been sunken. We need a forensic technical audit outside government circles. Let professional Nigerians, sincere Nigerians be put together to go into TCN to carry out a forensic technical audit and tell Nigerian the state of infrastructure. In 2015, I appeared before the House of Representatives committee, ad hoc committee, that investigated the state of infrastructure in the power sector in Nigeria. What has changed? Apart from the GENCOs that are investing to expand generation, that has raised their generation capacity from about 10,000 megawatts now to about 14,000 megawatts, let the DISCOs come out and tell us how much they have invested to expand their distribution network infrastructure to be able to deliver electricity to Nigeria efficiently. Let them come out. My brother, let nobody win. Don't believe those figures they are banding there. It's a scam. It's not true. They are only pushing this narrative to justify the impending tariff hike across board. Last year, it was, according to them, only band A. And to tell you, this is what happened last year. They said there were 1,548 feeders from band A. Now they brought it, downgraded 1,100 of those feeders to band B or C, and now retained 4,480. As we speak today, over 40% of electricity consumers have been moved from various bands to band A. The DISCOs are indiscriminately upgrading customers to various bands, unchecked. This is what's going on. Who is fooling who? Who is fooling who in this country? Nigerians deserve to know the truth from their leaders and not deception that is taking place in this country.
All right.
Let them provide evidence. If the CBN main money is available for subsidy in electricity, let them provide evidence. Let them provide evidence.
Okay. Mr. Uket Obonga, I guess this is a conversation that we are still going to dwell on and get more details from you. Probably get a reaction from the Nigerian government and the handlers of these funds to know where the actual problem is and where these funds are, most especially as we've seen a lot of deterioration in the power sector. But then we are going to pen this conversation for another time, Mr. Obonga, and bring you on to talk more about it. I would want to say thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us.